Hello and welcome. We are at the 8th Indian Hotelier Awards. Uh, the theme of this year's event is revolutionizing the Indian hospitality sector. And on that note, so I would like to start this whole conversation by asking you, uh, as per you, what is the present state of the Indian hospitality sector? And, what are the key trends that you are seeing that will shape this whole industry in the next 5 years?
So, Deep, for the last 20 years, we've always looked at the hotel industry as supply, demand, and we've basically done linear forecasting and saying that every year demand for hotel rooms will grow at a certain 8, 9, 10%, branded hotel rooms, and the GDP will grow at 6%. So there has been what I call forecasting based on the past. So we've always looked back to predict the future. But I think going forward, India is at this current inflection point in its GDP and its household GDP, I should say, where a very large number of Indians, if the Indian economy continues to grow at 6-7% for the next 6-7 years, then it is roughly like where China was in 2006. And at that point, a very large number, although the economy grew only 50-70% in the next 5 years, the number of consumers grew 10x. Because so many of them moved into what we would call the consuming segment of the population. So the future of Indian hospitality, in my opinion, is extremely rosy in India. And the big challenge going forward will be having enough rooms of quality, which to me says that the 1.5 million unbranded rooms in India will need to be consolidated. They will need to be standardized on quality. A whole lot of new owners of these hotels, which exist all over India, will have to be brought on board, and the large hotel chains will have to focus on franchise, technology, and quality.
All right. As per you, what are those avenues that the leaders of the Indian hospitality sector should focus on, for that, so that India becomes a leader, a global hub for the hospitality domain?
Just what I said. See, it's not what the hotel industry does. Actually, you're talking about the tourism ecosystem. In India, tourism is 6.8% of GDP and about 9% of employment. I think in the next 2 years, the government will recognize the potential value and transformative nature of tourism as an industry sector. Even today, I heard the Honorable Minister saying, they're starting to focus on it. And in the previous 5 years, India focused on manufacturing through PLI. So if I did some forward thinking, I think the logical next step for the government is to focus on TLI, tourism-linked infrastructure incentives, and hotels have to play a part of that. And as I said, it will be just a focus on consolidating a very fragmented and low-quality market.
All right. My next question was about government policies, but you answered that.
Yep.
So great. AI and ML are all the rage in the town at the moment. How are hotels using these next generation technologies? How are they leveraging them to their own advantage?
Okay, so the first problem is for AI, actually I should say machine learning to work with an AI brain, is you need data and you need a single source of truth. So, for example, I can say for Lemon Tree, and I think it's true for all the large chains, is that everybody is migrating to a data cloud, whether it's Amazon or Microsoft or whatever. And once you've got the data in a single place, then you have to decide how you're going to access this data and how are you going to use it. So I can talk about the 4 main pillars to me would be using it for loyalty programs and personalization, which means we know exactly what a customer wants, not only from the way he or she has consumed in your hotels in the past, but also based on their demographics, which is if they are 30 years of age, roughly earning this kind of income with this kind of background, then they're good for 3 things. Maybe late night room service, I'm just giving you an example, or spa services. So you can now start segmenting data on metadata for personalizing for different cohorts of customers and link it to loyalty and obviously rewards. The second to me is simply good revenue management using not forecasting but prescriptive, which means looking forward and not merely looking back to project demand. The third is clearly on sales. So can you do the next best action? So that's using Salesforce and so on and so forth. Fourth is cost. How do you become more and more frugal in your cost structure? So I'll give you a simple example. We are doing all these four. And what you have to do is therefore imagine or reimagine your tech stack.
Okay.
And how does this tech stack work? Where is your data residing? How do you use AI, ML, for example, in revenue management or in personalization? And in other cases, it's how you integrate this entire tech stack to give you a single source of truth for outreach to customers and better service.
Extremely well put, sir. Last question. BW Hotelier will complete its 10 years in Jan 2025. I want to just understand, in your opinion, what role has this platform played in being a one-stop shop for the voices of the Indian hospitality sector and its leaders?
Well, I think it's played a very significant role. It's brought together a lot of thought leaders from within and outside the industry. It's done events like this where we get to interact with not only industry experts and CEOs, but also external experts and government. So it's been a great interface. But I suspect that based on what I just said, in the next 5 to 7 years, its role will become more and more important because I think the government will need to interact more with industry, and platforms like yours can make a significant impact there.
So it was lovely chatting with you. I need water. Sorry.